you know, the reports that you guys send out, we just pluck lots of information from that to try and educate the seller.
So you actually do monthly reports, Property Monitor, but can we have a bit of an overview of H1? How's Dubai performed?
Of course we can.
Got some stats
let
for
me
us.
pull out the iPad. So I just, every month we close out all the transactions. So we're constantly, every day we're processing them, we're vetting them, we're cleansing them, and we're making them as granular as possible. We close out the month and we do our index build. And then from that, we look at all the data and we develop the reports. And we do that on a monthly basis to give that as real time as to the market aspect. Don't normally do a quarterly or a half year report, but because you asked.
Thank you.
I combine some of them.
I think it's just when you move into another quarter, and especially we're now in the second half of the year, it's just,
it's good to look at. So I'll give you some headline numbers and some comparisons to last year, but then also some comparisons to 2019.
Okay, great.
Because we look at last year, it wasn't a normal year. Right? We had 2 months where the market basically ground to a halt, where the only thing that was transacting were pretty much developer sales. Right, where people didn't have to show up. Because we're in lockdown. So now that we're into Q3, the June numbers actually start to look good because that's when the market picked up. But if we were comparing month on month to April and May last year, huge discrepancies. All right, so on a transaction basis, year to date, so for the first half of the year, we've had 27,508 transactions. So this is across the market, all asset classes. Compare that to H1 last year, just over 16,000. So it's up 71%.
Wow, great.
Compare it to the year before, where it was about 18,000. So it's up 51%. Year before that was about 18,000. So 16 to 18,000 in the first half of the year is typically where we are. 27,500 this year.
Now, do you think that's because we had quite a few transactions that we signed sale contracts for in October, November, December, and because of travel restrictions, we never transferred until Feb, March, April with some of those units. So do you think a lot of it was signed business?
There's always that lag in there. And it's probably been a little more pronounced because of the pandemic that's in there. Then there are some that are happening really quickly as well. So I think at this point, it's probably at the point where we're looking at the last quarter, at least probably balancing it out. You're getting some of those 6 months old ones, but now you're seeing deals that are happening in the space of a month. So we're probably looking at it balancing out somewhat. There's been, where the most activity has been and the biggest switch has been, apartments used to be this asset class that's where most interest was, where most developers were building, it's where most of our inventory is. After those lockdown periods, you started to see villa and townhouses just on a trend line basis, just up. And you saw apartments just really stay flat. The last couple of months, there's been a few peaks on the apartments, mainly because of some off-plan projects and some delayed registrations, which you'll read about in this month's report. There's a big chunk that came through. But there's just been this, take a look at the market. Prices near record lows. Money is available in the market and it's cheap. Right? Interest rates for mortgages, lovely. LTV changes, loan to value changes. Right? So you've got properties that have become more affordable on a ticket price basis and now on a monthly carrying cost basis, right? Because most people are going to take out a mortgage for end use. So they've got a lower down payment, lower monthly costs, and all-time low prices. So it's been this prime market for people to get on the property ladder. And a lot of that has been driven into the villa and townhouse market, and that's where we're seeing the biggest increases. The apartment markets, certain markets doing well, others really struggling.
And you think that's because of, we went into a lockdown and people would prefer to have a garden?
People started to appreciate the value of outdoor space. Right? I don't have a balcony. They were the ones that were hit hardest. The ones that had a balcony were like, okay. And then it sort of progressed from there. So I don't think people are scared about another lockdown happening. I think it just changed an idea about what's important to them and having that outdoor space, and preferably private outdoor space. A lot of the time we're in Dubai, we don't go out, it's hot. Right? And you use it as an excuse not to go out. Well, from air conditioning to air conditioning. I think people started to go, you know what, so what if it's hot? I want to be outside and I've been locked up for a week, I want to get out. And they start to value those priorities, and so do I sweat a little bit. not going to the office.
Yeah.
Let's go out and,
You need the
and
extra
enjoy it.
room for the office space. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think H2 will be? I know we don't have crystal balls,
Yeah.
but
I'll give it a rub. I'll give those crystal ball a rub
give it a little
and see.
idea. I won't hold you to it.
My hope is that what we're talking about before is that we've had this nice big jump, this spike, and we'll start to see slow, gradual appreciation across the villas and townhouses, not this aggressive difference between buyer and seller expectations.
It's too far apart.
Yeah, I hope that starts to slow down and we see a nice long cycle ahead of us. Unfortunately, I think the next quarter we're probably not going to see that. It's going to take some time of properties languishing on the market and sellers realizing I can't get that. I think you'll see continued interest in the villa and townhouse segment. I think apartments in certain areas will start to stabilize. If we talk about supply, the market has been oversupplied as a whole for years, and it still is. But it's markets within that. The villa and townhouse market was probably in equilibrium for the last 5 years or so. It was doing well, new inventory coming on, interest there. Now we're undersupplied in a lot of those key communities. The apartment segment though, it's still oversupplied. And you look at the pipeline as what's going to be completed over the next 12 months, a lot of it is apartments again. Speaking with developers, they're all wishing that they'd gone to build small villa complexes or townhouse complexes or master developments. Had a discussion with a key developer yesterday, and they have a very prominent project with several thousand of units built several years ago. Nice, large, graceless plot sizes. And we were just joking, like if they rebuild the entire thing out available, it'd sell on the weekend.
If we had hindsight or
a crystal ball.
You
can't predict.
You can't. The only way that you know where something is when you've passed it. It's like people kick themselves for not buying at the bottom of the market.
Are you going back to that villa again?
Yeah, a little bit. Anyone that bought at the bottom of the market were just lucky. The time to buy is when you've got some positive price movement. Let's say you've got
stability.
A quarter or two, which we've got right now. All right, so we've got 7 months of positive price movement in the index as a whole. So that should give confidence to buyers that we're past the bottom. We've just got a couple and you're doing this, it's not past it. You still could be in the bottom of the trough. There's a lot of indicators now where it's on the up, right? We're coming out of, if you look at the 4 quadrants of the cycle, we're coming out of that recession phase. We're going into the recovery phase. And hopefully that recovery phase is long and drawn out. So now probably is one of the better times to buy. Best time would have been the bottom, but you never know. Now is an educated time to go, right? Very confident we're past it. As long as we don't have another global incident ahead of us, you should start to see price appreciation for at least the next couple of years.
So Michael, being in the shop, you deal with mostly the Dubai Marina area, the apartments. So I'm going to not contradict, but maybe we can have a little idea on how the apartments is performing. What do you see?
I mean, we're in the middle of Dubai Marina, in the thick of it, on Dubai Marina Walk. We're busy. So where you take a bird's eye view at the market, when we're in the day-to-day, all we see is lots of buyer registrations, lots of demand, tons of viewing, no stock. So the big topic of conversation with us as a team in the shop at the moment is no stock. And we need to be careful we don't keep repeating it because everybody's looking for good apartments and the key buildings with the views. And that's what we're seeing just now is that you said there's markets within markets with supply, and we see that in Dubai Marina. There's a lack of apartments with the full marina views or the sea views, and maybe some apartments that are with developers that are not so prominent as EMAR, that are maybe on lower floors with road views or plot views or construction views. These are the stock that is more available on the market today. So I like to take a zoom out a little bit and get out of my marina market so that I can see what else is going on. But when you're on the ground, you're
100%
just
right
in
with
it.
it. There's a lack of the inventory that's in demand.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a ton of inventory in the market in marina still, but it's not the stuff that people want.
Exactly.
Unfortunate divide of it, right? Before, when you had projects off plan, it was just, I'll take whatever's left.
Yeah.
And same with tenants, there just wasn't enough available. I'll take whatever's left.
Yeah.
Now people, because there's so much available across Dubai, they're picking and choosing.
Yeah,
They go, if I want to move a marina, I want to buy a marina, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And I'll wait for it.
Yeah.
Go and find it for me.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's true. I mean, one of the major shifts in the market we talked about a little bit earlier is the higher end product. When 10 million plus, what is going on with the 10 million
Crazy
plus?
stuff.
Crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff. So I've got some more numbers for you here. If we look just at the last, say, 3 months, there were record-setting number of transactions happening. So we look at the price tiers in a couple of different ways. We look at a market share basis, and market share is just how we segment the market. So if there were 100 sales done, only 100 sales done, and there were one sale in the 10 million bracket, that would be a market share of 1%.
Yeah.
And we want to look at how that changes over each month. So it's comparing it. It's trying to take out the, at 1 month there was 100 sales, the other month there was 1,000 sales, just to give it, how is the demand across these? So we look at the market share there, and then we look at the number of transactions in each one, so separately, so we can measure now what's that growth in there. Yeah. So I'll give you last month's numbers, and then we'll talk more for the half year. Last month there were, I think it's 114 sales of residential properties in the 10 million plus segment. The month before, it was 117. So a small shift. Okay. But on a market share basis, it fell a whole percent. It went from 3.3% to 2.3%. Okay. Because there were so many other properties happening in there, but the number of transactions stayed the same. So let's focus on that number of transactions. Year to date, we've had just under 496 residential transactions fall in that 10 million plus category. Contrast that to, this is where it'll get fun. Contrast that to the previous year. We had in H1 2020, 149.
Ooh. Compared to 500 and...
233% growth. Year before that, 166.
So even 2019, wow.
Yeah. You used to talk about, like, villas on the Palm are the ones that are really leading this drive. So the main ones that are leading this drive, Palm Jumeirah. Villas on the Palm, on the fronds, 22 carat, there's a couple there. And now we're starting to see some of the really high-end apartments in Royal Atlantis start to hit the transaction logs, and some penthouses here and there, but again, it's primarily villa focused there. And the other one is where we are right now, Dubai Hills Estate. There's a lot of the transactions happening here. So Palm number 1, Dubai Hills is number 2.
Because the garden homes on the Palm, the 10 million's in the middle of where the price went, because they dropped to 6 or 7 million, and now they're
for villas.
12
that's actually
or 13.
the lower part of the market. The 10 million.
Look, 5 years ago, a signature was probably selling in the mid 20s starting, right, and over, and they went down to sort of the mid teens and bargain. So in the beginning, that's the first ones that went. Everyone was buying whatever the cheapest one was, and I'm just going to do a complete refit, right? And then the demand's still there, and now people are taking ones that are further up the price chain because they've been renovated, they demand a little bit higher price, but still doing a complete refit because it's not to their liking. And it's just, you're seeing brokers are crying, saying there's not enough inventory, but each month we're seeing more and more transactions happening. So you guys are finding them somewhere. So that's really
the prices we can get for them. They're just, there's no top.
There
market.
is no top to it. It's a specialty market, right?
It is
its own market. Like, there's no other Palm in the world, right? Everyone wants one of those villas now. It was driven by people that there was so much value there, they jumped in, and now it's just a snowball effect. And where we're seeing the buyers come from is a lot of Europeans. A lot of Western Europeans are coming in there, a lot buying for end use, second homes, and they'll leave it vacant. Some buying for holiday homes and other long-term assets. And the prices, I mean, we're seeing some record sale prices this year. 3 properties over 100 million dirhams.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen that as well in the shop, where we've had people walk in and say, I have this budget, 3 million, I want an apartment. So tell us something about that and what you end up buying.
We've had quite a few people that have come in, and when we've sat with them to go through what they want, they've said 3 million, 4 million, and they've bought 9 million, 10 million.
Why are they jumping? Why are they just... fall in love, they don't get what they want in that value, or they just...
Yeah, I think when they've went out on viewings and they've saw what 3 or 4 million could get them, it's not been suitable for them, and they've pulled an extra 6 million from somewhere. But it's happened a lot, and I've never seen it happen as much.
That delta, that jump, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to get them to go up 5 or 10%, but
500k, a million, maybe, but not
doubling their budget.
not doubling their budget. And we know that clients don't like to reveal everything to a broker they've just met the first time. It can take time to build that relationship and divulge more. But yeah, we've seen it happen a lot. Yeah.
I wonder how much is tied to the mortgage side, because that's where we're also seeing some really big numbers changing. To give you an idea, first half of this year, just over 15,000 mortgages. This time last year, 6,500. The year before, 6,100.
Because we can compare it more to 2019.
19 comparison.
19 was kind of, we thought coming into 2020, we're at the bottom there. Yeah. We're kind of a year behind, if you like.
So it's good to look at that year there. So if we go at 2019, we're up 148% on mortgages.
Gosh.
Right. There's a caveat to that. That's a mixture of people that are taking a mortgage, they've just bought a property, they're taking a new purchase money mortgage out. They're factored in there. You've got people that own an existing property, no financing on it, or potentially they have financing and they're taking out a new mortgage on it. And then there's a third category which really dilutes the numbers.
Releasing equity.
And it's bulk mortgages. It's where you've got a developer or an institutional asset holder that is taking out several hundred million dirham loans against several properties in there. So the transactions that get recorded, if I'm a developer and I've got 100 units, not one mortgage, it's 100 mortgages against each asset, so they're getting registered.
So what percentage of those figures is in that category?
It's so last month was a big drop, but to give it for the half year, about 40% were bulk.
Oh wow, okay.
So there's a lot of big money going out from the transactions, new purchase money, so transactions happening in the same month as the purchase. It's probably around 25-30%. And the balance of those are people that own something now, money's cheap, and they're like, you know what, let me take out a mortgage now, let me release some equity.
It's because of interest rates.
It's perfect time, money's cheap.
And what are the bulk owners, developers doing with that?
I would be speculating.
We will speculate.
I won't say names of, although in the report we do state some of the properties. Look, there's some hotel assets that are being leveraged against. I would assume that some of that might be going to cover operational shortfalls. It's not been an easy time for hotels through the pandemic. There's other developers that I think are probably taking that money and building a new project. And then there are others that are just going, look, I borrow money all the time and it's so cheap. I've got assets, let me free up, let me do it.
Before the interest rates start going up.
And they're going to. But the mortgage market, on the residential side, because we're so close to the surveyors, they're having record months of end users taking out mortgages for properties here. So I think that's really underpinning and probably giving to what you said, the ability for people to go, right, I was going to spend 4, but now I'm spending 8 or 9 because they're able to take out a level of financing.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you,
very
Zhann.
interesting and exciting information and stats there. So looking forward to each too.
Yeah.
Will you come back and
I'll
tell
be
us how
happy
we're
to.
doing?
Anytime.
Thank you, Zhann. Thank you. Thank you, Michael, as well.
Thanks for
coming
having me.
on board.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for tuning in to Property Talk from Louise's Lounge, and I hope you've enjoyed today's chat. If you do have any feedback or any suggestions or comments that you'd like to make, please let us know, and I hope you tune in next time. Thank you.